So here we are in Unreal. I just opened the project we created during the first video, which is basically the third person template one. And as you can see, the new folder we created in Houdini has been appeared here in Unreal. They are empty currently. In fact, usually Unreal, unless you change the default option, does ask you if you want to import these new files, because it does know that there are new files in the folder. But we want to say don't import, we want to do it manually. And by default, the project should open with the third person level, which should be inside here, level third person. And if we hit play, sure enough, we do have the third person character movable in the scene. So there's actually a lot going on in the setup of this character to make it work. We won't create the character from scratch. We're basically going to use this as a starting base and use our TARS character in it. So let's hit ask to exit the gameplay, and let's start to import the thing that we exported from Houdini. So first thing, let's import the mesh. So target the mesh subfolder, right click into the content browser, select import to current folder, and let's get the TARS character FBX. Let's see, I will set to default. So we want to change disable animation. We will import the animation separately, and we don't want to import the material. We just need the material slot. Also, we don't want to import the texture, and hopefully we should end up with 3 files. I put a warning when we are writing the attribute on the FBX material to switch it to primitive. I set the attribute to point initially, and I did end up with just one material slot here. So I hope you get the warning. Otherwise, go back to Houdini and change the FBX material name to primitive attribute. So we do have basically 3 objects: a skeletal mesh, a physical asset, and a skeleton. All the work we're going to do is inside the skeletal mesh. And whenever you see this symbol on an asset, it means that it's not saved. So select everything, press Ctrl S, so they are saved. And now we want to create the material for the skeletal mesh. So let's close it for a second. We do have a folder for the material, we don't. So right click on the content browser, choose new folder, let's call this mat. And inside here we will create one material as a master material and 2 material instances for the 2 parts of the mesh. I hope you are familiar with at least some basics of a real interface and material concept, but this won't be anything complicated. So right click here on the content browser and choose material. This will be the master. So usually you have a few name convention within Unreal. I like to use M for the material master and MI for the material instance. So this will be M TARS. I will also call it master. Save it, open it, and let me drag it over here. Basically, we have the base color, the roughness, the normal, and the metallic. So let's press Ctrl and space to bring up a temporary content folder here. And in the text folder, let's right click and import all of our textures. So let's grab it. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Yeah, let's say okay to everything, but we want to check the texture. Usually the base color is fine, but with the monochromatic map, Unreal tends to get confused. You want to be sure that the base color have sRGB checked, so because they are sRGB texture. And let's also check the other one. It's okay. You want to check the metallic. Yeah, you want to disable sRGB texture, and here on the compression setting, we don't want to use default. We want to use, I never remember if it's grayscale or mask. Let's try grayscale. We will end up with a warning otherwise, so we will notice. Close the metallic and do it on the other metallic. So disable grayscale and open the normal. This is fine, it's already disabled, and the compression is correct, which is normal map, so close it. And let's check the roughness. Yeah, here we need to disable this, and enable or rather choose grayscale. So save it and do the same on the other, no, this is the base color, on the other roughness, which you can tell which when the compression is wrong, because basically you see the difference. So grayscale, save it, and also save the one that we didn't change. Now, inside the material, we don't want to use those texture right here inside the master material. Those texture will be assigned in the material instance. Here, we just need to provide this material master to have the possibility to change some parameter that we want to make it different for the two materials instances. So we want to take a texture sample node, this one, plug it one into the base color, and we can leave the UV as it is because we only have one index. We don't need the text core node, but for the text we want to take how was it called, texture image, no, texture object, this one. So plug it into the texture and always check the type of texture that you have. Right now is a sampler type color, which is fine for the base color, but you always end up with some warning if you mess up with the sampler type for other map. So we want to be able to control this parameter, which is the one that chooses the map. So right click on it and say convert to parameter. And we can call this base color text. So if you apply and accept, now we want to go on the material folder and right click on the TARS master and choose create material instance. We will call this mi TARS sides. So we will use this for the sides. And if you open it, you can see that you have a few default options, and you have also this parameter group, which is basically where it goes all the parameters that you promote in the master material. So if you open it, we have the base color text we created. So we can click on it, bring up the content browser, and let's drag the TARS base color for the sides. So as you can see, we do have the correct material working. Save it and let's go back on the master and let's do all the other. So let's duplicate these two nodes one time and let's plug it into the roughness, which is the first one. And this time we want to change the sampler type to be linear grayscale, because the grayscale map we are working with, which are the roughness and the metallic, needs to be interpreted as a linear grayscale. We don't want any compression curve like when you're working with a color profile. So apply and accept, and let's duplicate it one more time for the metallic. Also, we need to change this parameter name. Let's call it roughness text. And yeah, sure enough, we have the error because the sampler is linear grayscale, but this is because we are choosing a default texture, which is actually a color file. Let's click here and we should choose some grayscale something. This gray, let's see if, yeah, it doesn't complain. And by the way, when you open any parameter and you have all the list of the possible asset, if you don't have all this kind of file, which are basically the default engine stuff, you just need to set it on the project here. You want to go on the content browser, click on this gear icon and say where it is, engine content. Basically all the default texture and stuff like that are engine content, and you can only see it if you enable this guy over here. So let's go back into the mTARS master, let's save it and plug this guy into the metallic. So this also needs to be to linear grayscale. Let's save it and change the parameter name. This will be the metallic text, and we want to change this to this gray texture also. So apply. And lastly, the normal. So let's copy and paste this again. This will be the normal text. And this time for sampler we want to choose normal, and let's choose some, there should be one called default, default normal. This should be fine, yeah. And it should be okay, we don't need to convert it in any way, I guess. Yeah, should be fine. So now on the TARS side we can enable all this texture and replace it. So TARS side roughness for the roughness, the metallic, and the normal. So let's try to go and test it inside the skeletal mesh. We will do the center one just in a second, but for now, let's just drag the material instance TARS side into one of these slots. And it's the wrong one, of course, the other one. So we do have one material working. Now, just to make a quick recap on how material and material instances work. Basically, all the texture, the default texture that we defined over here are just placeholder. We could perfectly say to use the side one here and then on another material instance to change it with the size. These are just a placeholder. And basically, the material instance is using the TARS master as a parent material and is overriding the parameter with the default texture. If you uncheck it, you sure enough use the default texture we defined, but that's all how a material instance works. And it's convenient opposed to do to master material because you save a lot of calculation on the GPU side. Like in this case, not so much, but if you have 10, 20 material instance instead of 20 material master, you have just one shader, not 20. So this is the positive sides of the material instances. So we want to create the material instances for the center. Let's save these two. And if you don't want to, if you want to create a material instance from scratch, you just want to right click on the content browser and look for material instance. Let's call this one TARS center. So we can open it, and here we can choose the parent material, which is TARS master, and just replace the texture with the center one. So text folder, base color, metallic here, the normal, and the roughness. So save it, and in my skeletal mesh, I want to replace the material of the center, which was the first one. Yeah. Why we don't see the text on the monitors? And why the text is upside down? Let me quickly check the maps. It is upside down and it doesn't have the... Oh, I'm importing the wrong image. I'm not importing the one from the tutorial. This is my source project, which was a little bit different. So give me a second to fix that and I will quickly come back. So I'm back, and not only I had to replace the image with the correct one, I also had the texture flipped out on the model. Basically, I discovered, I don't know why, but this preset Unreal Engine really does mess things up when importing FBX. So I basically reset all the preference here, like this in the ROP output for the mesh, and I re-imported these three files, of course assigning also the material. So basically now we have the skeletal mesh, the two material correctly applied to it, and basically we're good to go. Of course, if we hit play, we still have the third person template, so we need to change a lot of things actually here to make the TARS character work. Now in the editor right now we are in this level, but whenever we press play, we actually do play in this level. Basically in Unreal you have a few ways to define what level, what game mode, what character to play whenever you hit the playing button. The first place you want to look is in the project setting. You want to go on the edit project setting, and you want to look for the tab maps and modes over here. As you can see, the editor startup map, which is the level that is open when we open the editor, and both the game default map, which is the one that it will open when we press play, are the level third person, which is fine, but only the level is decided here. We are not deciding here the character or the controller or anything else. All the other settings are, at least for this project, are decided in the game mode. As you can see, the default game mode will be this third-person game mode. Now, let's not change the things directly in this game mode, so if we mess things up, we always have some reference. We want to click on this button, which basically will bring up the this chosen asset wherever it is in the content browser. As you can see here, we have this BP third-person game mode, which is a blueprint class. You can often tell by the naming convention, you always tend to use the BP prefix whenever you are dealing with blueprints. So we want to Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V on this guy so we can have a duplicate. Press F2 so we can rename it, and let's call it BP TARS game mode. And don't leave it here in the third person folder. Let's create another folder in the content browser. Let's call it blueprints. And let's duplicate the BP TARS game mode inside the blueprint folder. So we will have our new asset here. Basically, we want to use this as a game mode when the game fires up. So we want to drag it over here, and if we hit play, nothing changed because we just duplicated the game mode. We need to change things inside the game mode itself. So double click on the blueprint of the game mode and it will open up. It's a little different. As you can see, it just shows a tab with some parameter. It doesn't show the viewport and the graph editor. You could open it by opening the full blueprinted editor, but we don't need it right now. We just want to change a few things over here. As you can see, when the game mode starts, we do have a player controller class and a default pawn class. These are the things that we want to change. So we want to duplicate these two and do our change. So click here. This will bring up the third person character. This is the character itself. So Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, and rename it to BP TARS character. Let's move it into the blueprint folder. Move here. Go back into the game mode and also duplicate the third person player controller. This is just in case. I don't think we will need to change something inside here, but just to have some reference if we want to change something and then come back. So let's duplicate it and rename it to BP TARS controller. Move it into the blueprint section. And now on the TARS game mode, press Ctrl and space so we can bring up the temporary content browser, and we want to spawn the TARS character as the default pawn class using the TARS controller as player controller class. Compile, save, and of course I can hit play again and say, yeah, it doesn't work, but I won't do it. So we actually need to change the mesh with the actual TARS we created. So in the blueprints folder, we want to open the blueprints of the TARS character. And let me close a few folders over here, like this. And this is the full blueprint editor. Now we are looking at the event graph. If we go on the viewport, you have the character. As you can see in the default character, there are a bunch of components already laid down. This one, the character movement, is basically what is doing the heavy lifting for all the character animation. If you create a character from scratch and you won't use this, you will need to do a lot of work by hand because this is really doing a lot of stuff. As you can see, these are the parameter of the character movement component. Is quite complicated. So let's see, we want to replace the mesh, of course. As you can see, we can select it and it's pointing to the skeletal mesh asset of the default one from Queen. And we want to replace it with the TARS character, our characters. And we need to change a few things. Let me go on the side view, right. We want to, the capsule for the collision is way too big, so let's see, select the collision cylinder, and there should be some parameter here, capsule radius, so we can lower it like this. And the convenience is also that we already have a camera. Maybe we can rise it up a little bit, but whatever for now. So now if we compile and save and we hit play, okay, wait a second. Actually, let's hit play again and see why this is not working. When you hit play, basically everything that is not already in the level but needs to spawn in the level, you can find it in the outliner in yellow. And I can see that the BP third person game mode is still being called, even if the game mode should be the new one we created in the project settings, and it is. Maybe it has been overridden by something. Let's see. Let's check the world setting. Yeah. As you can see here, it's a override the game mode with the BP third person character. You just can click here to reset to default, so it's a none or specify the TARS game mode. But if we hit play, fingers crossed, yeah, we do have the TARS model. It's a block of metal right now because we still need to assign the animation, but as you can see, we do have our character. Yay!